Riley, thanks for watching us tonight for this special pre-debate edition of The Factor, The Last Showdown, and that is the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. Tonight's foreign policy debate in Boca Raton, Florida will once again feature two very different philosophies. President Obama won the election last time by repudiating American power as the big stick in the world. Mr. Obama believes that the foreign policy decisions made by the Bush-Cheney administration hurt America because they alienated many countries that could have helped us. Barack Obama was a fierce opponent of the Iraq War, and in 2008 presented himself to the world as a man who would seek consensus rather than a president who would do whatever the heck he wanted to do. That foreign policy appealed to many Americans who were tired of seeing complicated situations like Iraq and Afghanistan drag on and on and on. Mr. Obama also went out of his way to tell the world that the USA would no longer take the lead in world controversies. Instead, we would work with other nations to solve problems. And we saw that in Libya, as NATO led the way in deposing Gaddafi. But now many, including Governor Romney, believe that President Obama's foreign policy has weakened America and emboldened our enemies. Romney says that Iran, Egypt, the Taliban, and others no longer fear us. Therefore, Americans are in far greater danger than they were when President Bush was in power. In short, Governor Romney believes in the big stick when necessary. That is the crux of tonight's debate. Whether America is an exceptional country that has a moral right to lead the world, or whether we are a country no more entitled than anyone else. Mr. Romney has a huge advantage tonight because of the Libya business. I don't know about you, but I am sick and tired of hearing about it. President Obama owes the American people, we the people, a press conference. He owes it to us to explain what the hell happened over there and why security was not what it should have been. At this point, I don't want to hear any more excuses. I don't want to see any more finger pointing. I just want to know the facts from the president's own mouth. Mr. Obama is in charge of foreign policy. Again, he must hold a press conference and explain the Libyan debacle. If Romney demands that tonight and doesn't get mired down in details that can't be proven, he'll win the debate. It has now been a month and a half since 4 Americans were murdered in Libya, and we the people have not been told what happened. That's not the way a free society is supposed to work. Finally, the debate tonight is vital for both candidates. According to the polls, Governor Romney has momentum almost everywhere. And if he decisively wins tonight, he is likely to be the next president of the United States. President Obama knows that. So he must counter Romney and emerge as a wiser man on foreign policy. That is Mr. Obama's challenge, which he will undergo in less than an hour from now. And that is the memo. Now for the top story tonight. Reaction from Fox News senior political analyst Brit Hume, who joins us now from Washington. Do you expect Romney to come out with the Libya stuff as strongly as I just did?
Well, it'll depend a bit on the context in which it comes up, whether there's a direct question to him in which he has a real opportunity to take it on, or whether it doesn't, or whether the president in some way brings it up first. I just don't know. And I've been so wrong so often about these debates. You remember, Bill, I told you earlier this year when you were saying debates were going to be all important, I said that the history shows that they're not. Well, first debate proved me wrong about that.
I'm so happy that you brought that up.
Well,
can I paraphrase Barack Obama in the last debate? Can I do that?
Of course.
All right. Can you say that a bit louder, Brett?
Well, then I thought, then you may recall I was suggesting that about the second debate, because it was going to be based on these people in the audience. You know, this was a town hall format, that it wouldn't be as aggressive and combative a debate. Well, boy, was I wrong about that. So now here we are again, and you're asking me to hazard a guess about this. I can understand why I'd be a little hesitant to do so.
All right, but look, here's the deal with Bob Schieffer. He knows that Candy Crowley got hammered. And he also knows that he's a liberal. Schieffer's a liberal. Everybody knows that. I work with him. Bernie Goldberg worked with him. He's coming up. So nothing wrong with that. I mean, he's an American. Bob Schieffer's entitled to be whatever he wants to be. But Schieffer has got to ask about Libya. And I would assume he would ask President Obama the question first, all right? You would assume that, you know, the guy on the scene is the guy you ask. So let's assume that if Schieffer doesn't ask Libya, he's got to retire tomorrow. I mean, maybe he wants to be 75, but he's got to retire tomorrow if he doesn't do it. It's the big story. It's everywhere. The big foreign policy story right now is Libya. So it has to be asked. Now, what I'm asking you is, does Romney take that issue and try to just nail the president with it, putting him on the defensive for the rest of the debate?
Well, I would think he would try to make the most of it, but I suspect he would go about it in such a way that he'll look presidential in doing it.
What does that mean, though?
What that means is that means you don't do it like a street brawler. You do it like somebody who's bidding to be commander in chief.
Would this not be presidential? Would this be presidential? Mr. President, can I ask you why you haven't had a press conference in a month and a half?
Well, the problem is the last time he tried asking the president questions, it didn't work very well. So I don't think he would do it that way. And look, I'm not sure he wants the president to have a press conference about it. And I'm not sure that's what the president needs to do right now, Bill. I mean, I understand your impulse about getting all the facts out. The president's going to fall back on the idea that we still don't know all there is to know about what happened until we do.
If Mr. Obama thinks this is helping him, he's out of his mind. He may lose the election because of this.
I don't think he thinks it's helping him. I don't think he'll lose the election based on this alone. I certainly don't think that. I don't think that the people who go into the voting booth are going to say, you know, I don't like this Libya business, I'm voting for Romney. That's not how they're going to think about it. But it does chip away at the president's credibility in general and raises character questions about whether he and his administration can tell a straight story about something, let alone tell the right story.
All right, but look, what it comes down to now is, and I've always said this, I said, as Britt pointed out rightly, that the debates were going to be huge and that it was going to be a referendum on Barack Obama. Okay, and I still believe that this vote is going to be primarily about the president, not about Mitt Romney. And the reason that Romney's rising in the polls almost everywhere, all right, is because people say, you know what, he could handle it. He could handle a job. And when you see an opponent who can handle it, then you focus in on who's got the job now. This is the same thing that happened, and you'll remember this better than anyone, Britt, when Ronald Reagan presented himself that way, when he was no longer some flighty actor from California, but a serious guy who Americans said, you know what, this guy could do it. He could run the country. Then they tuned over to Carter and said, he's screwing it up. This guy's screwing it up.
I think that's probably what happened, but I would say in reverse order, that they had already had their doubts about Carter, thought the record was poor and the results were poor, and they were looking at Reagan to see if he was someone other than the dangerous person he'd been characterized as by the Carter campaign. In this campaign, you have the Obama people suggesting that Romney is somebody who wants, and you'll probably hear this from President Obama tonight, wants to get us into some more wars.
Right.
And Romney needs, he may be aggressive in the debate, but he needs people to think that he's not somebody who's going to go willy-nilly into the use of military force right off the bat. And that is the kind of reassurance that Reagan provided in 1980 by his demeanor and by much of what he said.
But that's easy. That's an easy parry, though, for Romney. It's easy.
It may be easy, it may not be easy, but I think it's necessary.
All right, because if Romney says, listen, the way you stay out of wars is being strong because I don't want to mess with you, that's what he's going to say. That's what he's already said.
Look, well, perhaps we'll see how he does with that question. He's going to have to argue that the presence of strength and the belief in the world that you're willing to use it is what keeps the peace. That's the argument that I think is strong in his favor. We'll see how well he makes it.
All right, Britt Hume,